Well, if you've been around my channel any length of time, you may have come across an interesting video in my archives on mono versus braid. All right, guys, in this video, we're going to talk about mono versus braid. Well, in that video, I went into depth on what the good points and the bad points are for each of the applications for using braid and how I use it. But in this video, I'm going to let some of the pros out there tell you what their opinion is on what they use, why they use it, and where. The first one is nationally acclaimed tournament angler Larry Muse, and he's going to tell you which line he likes best.
I use braid for the strength of braid because every time I get in the water, I'm after the biggest fish in the river. Whatever river I'm in, I'm after the biggest fish in the river. That's just the way I am. And I mean, I got geared that way over the years. That's the way I've evolved. And I'm going to be using braid. Now I've got a roller rod. You may have seen it, Larry Muse roller rod with Warrior Cat Tackle puts it out. And it'll give you that hookup ratio that you had with monofilament with that braid. And that's the only reason some guys are still on monofilament, because a lot of them tried braid and they didn't get the same hookup ratio. They was getting fish to load their pole and spit it out. Well, you take that roller rod, get you a Larry Muse roller rod. It's got the perfect action on the rod. It's an amazing rod. And it took us a while to develop it, but now it'll give you the hookup ratio of monofilament, and you got the strength of your braid. You put your braid on there. That's how I overcome that issue. But it worked real good. And of course now bumping with braid, I always bump with braid. I use an 80-pound braid and a 60-pound leader, monofilament leader. So.
I seeked out another professional tournament angler, Chris Souders. He's traveled all across the U.S. fishing for blue and flathead catfish, won a few tournaments, and he's going to give us his opinion on which line he likes best.
I'm a mono person. Because I fish for so many flatheads, I feel that your rod and your mono is going to give you a huge advantage in making mistakes. If you got something that can cushion the blow of a hard fighting flathead, you're going to better your chances at getting that fish in without pulling a hook or breaking off.
Well, if you've been on YouTube anytime and you've been doing any research into catfishing videos, you're going to know who this next guy is. It's Luke Nichols from the YouTube channel Catfish and Carp. Luke has fished in lots of waters from Alaska all the way to Europe, and he's got some pretty good opinions and some pretty good ideas on fishing line, knows a thing or two about what works and what doesn't work, and has built some pretty strong opinions on what he likes. Let's hear what he has to say.
I like spider wire a lot. It's got a very tight weave, and the durability is fantastic. You know, I got a lot of rods. I run a lot of rods in my boat, and so I basically don't re-spool my rods except maybe once every 6 years or something. So I'll put braid on there and I'll use it till it rots off the reel. And so the spider wire stealth and ultracast, my two favorites.
The next person is a fellow YouTuber, Quinton Robbins from Mid-South Outdoor Life here on YouTube. Be sure to check out his channel. I'll put a link down in the comment section below where you can find him. He's got some things that he likes and that he doesn't like about both lines.
So I'm a 100% braid for every species except trout or panfish. And then I'll use a leader where we're fitting. Like if I'm fishing for bass and it happens to be really clear water, I'm still going to have braid with a fluorocarbon leader. For catfish though, always braid with a mono leader. And I guess the reason is I find that the castability is exponentially better, being that there's no memory. So regardless of the conditions, I'm gonna find casting to be better and certainly less stress using braid than I do mono.
Well, as you can tell, everybody has a little different opinion on which line they like best and why. And the same applies to you guys out there. Depending on where you're fishing, your style of fishing, and how you use the line, different lines will appeal to you. It may be something where you'll need to be using both of them, especially if you're fishing on different bodies of water with different techniques. As for me personally, I use monofilament for about 90% of the catfishing that I do. Most of my fishing is dragging and drifting and trolling, and I like monofilament for abrasion resistance. I like the forgiveness of it, And I also like the visibility that I get with the Andy Monster line that I use. I will say this though, I keep braid on all of my reels that I use for any type of sensitive fishing. If I'm doing any type of bottom bouncing where I want to maintain contact with the bottom and feel a bite, or even when I'm crappie fishing and bluegill fishing, white perch fishing, all of those types of fishing, I like to feel the subtleness of a bite, light bites, and I like to maintain contact with the bottom. And for me, that is where braid really has an appeal. Hopefully you learned a little something from this video, and if you did, please consider subscribing. Hit that little bell so you'll be notified when new videos come out, and we look forward to seeing you on the water.